get quite embarrassing, I suppose. It's got the potential, but I thought that it would be a nice way to sort of break the ice and introduce myself. I have this propensity to associate myself with songs and words to songs, and it seems to have taken a life of its own. And prior to cancer, I guess I would have related myself to an Evanescence song called Bring Me into Life, Bring Me Back to Life. And there's actually a bit of an irony or a bit of humour in there if you think about it. But the reason I was actually thinking that that was the song that I related to most prior to cancer was because I felt like I was just slogging through each day, and I had no real direction. I was looking for something more and more meaning to my life, and somehow I relate to the words in that song. Of course, then I got cancer 2 years ago in June 2008. And I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was 34. And there was no history in the family, so there was no warning. It was completely unexpected, and it was a shock. And it hit our family like a wrecking ball. I have 2 children, Thomas and Ava, who were aged 3 and 6 at the time. So of course that added to the impact of the diagnosis at the time. And the diagnosis actually was a pretty strong one. We were very unfortunate that it was a very aggressive cancer. It was growing very fast, and the prognosis actually was pretty bleak. We were literally told that they would give me the strongest dose of what they had. They would give me everything, including the kitchen sink. However, they couldn't give us any guarantees of survival, and that I should get our affairs in order, especially the children. So the emotional anguish it took its toll, and it took me weeks, if not even months, before I could actually look at the children again without crying. From my perspective, every time I looked at them, I wondered if I was actually going to die and not actually see them grow up. Was I not going to see them graduate from school? Was I not going to see their achievements in the meantime? Was I not going to be there for them when they got their heart broken for the first time, and when they fell in love and eventually had children of their own, if that's what they chose to do, and sought their own dreams? So I had that constant reminder initially. So my secret now is that I relate to a different song. And although it's very cliche to say, cancer really did change my life. Now I relate to Katy Perry's song. This is why it could be embarrassing. But her song Firework. Because yes, I felt like a bag blowing in the wind with no real direction. But now I kind of feel like I've come into my own, and I've actually found something that I'm really passionate about. And I've learned a lesson along the way that life really is worth grabbing and living. And you can't take it for granted, because that's what I learned when I was looking at my children. I was taking it all for granted. So I would like to think that I have a spark, and I like to think that I have a passion now, and I'm going to be a firework, and this is how we're going to make it happen. So I decided that I was going to get my life back on track. When I was going through all the treatments, I had, prognosis was bleak. We went through 5 surgeries, 6 months of chemotherapy, 6 weeks of radiotherapy, and because of all of the medication and obviously the downtime, I wasn't able to move. I was quite sedentary towards the end. I did manage to keep running to 5Ks. It was round 4 was a babe that the oncologist told me off and said, you know, most people aren't getting out of bed now, so stop grumbling about it, you can only make 5Ks. Basically I put on 14 to 15 kilos, and at that point my self-esteem was quite low. Obviously I physically changed in many, many ways, lost all my hair, and gained so much weight that I just didn't feel like myself anymore. So I sought out a personal trainer, who is here today, Dave, and I asked him, am I too old to run? And of course he laughed and said, no. And I said, well, it's just, I haven't run since school and I've actually never been a real runner. But I would like to get my life back on track, and this is how I'd like to do it, and I would like for you to help me run the City to Bay. Because that, at the time, seemed like the most extraordinary goal that I could come up with. Because I couldn't even walk around the block at that stage. So to be able to run 12 kilometres, wouldn't that be really cool, babe, if I could do that? So Dave agreed he would help me do that. And we did. I ran the whole way to the City to Bay in September, and I raised $1,135 for the Cancer Council at that stage. And I was really proud of my efforts going from chemo and not being able to walk around the block to doing that. But of course, then once I'd achieved that, then what was I going to do? And so in November, I was having champagne with a girlfriend, Nikki, after work, and we were actually celebrating that I had just had my second clearance from the oncologist, second year clearance. So we were having champers and we were enjoying that. And she said, so, what are you going to do now? I said, you know what? I love the running. I don't want to stop anymore. Somehow I've got addicted, so I guess I've made it to the other side. And I would like to, well, to be perfectly honest, I'd like to say that I've gone from chemo to marathon runner. And she laughed a bit. She said, well, if anyone's going to do it, you will. And I laughed. And she said, so well, how are you going to make it happen? And I said, well, I've been looking into it, and apparently it's really hard to get into. You can't get any guaranteed tickets. Everyone here probably knows the story, that there's a certain amount of tickets available, and some of them are to elite athletes, and some of them are to charities, and then there's a certain amount that's available worldwide. We go into a lottery system where you apply, but you don't necessarily get a guaranteed ticket. I didn't want to do all that work and all that training and have my heart set on this and not actually be able to run. And I said, well, you know what, I was reading the paper the other day and I read an article that Graham Corns had written, and I know that the Little Heroes Foundation had run the New York Marathon, so I'm just going to give Chris McDermott and Graham Corns a call. He said, what, do you know them? I said, well, no, but I'm pretty sure that if I give him a call and have a little chat with him, give me 5 minutes of his time to tell me how I might be able to go about it. She goes, leave it with me, I know Chris, it's okay. And so lo and behold, she rings Chris and tells him my story, and he graciously agreed to have lunch with us, and where Rob and I met him and explained a little bit more detail about what we would like to do. And we were thrilled that Chris actually invited us to become a part of the team and a part of the campaign, and we're honoured to be part of the fundraising as well. It's a wonderful cause, and I'm really happy. In fact, I did ask if I could dance on the table at the time. I didn't actually go through with it, but we might today. The time is still here. So very, very honoured, and to me, really, what it was is combining my dream, because Rob and I have always wanted to go to New York. My dream, I wanted to become a marathon runner, and also my firework. I'm going to become a firework, and to do it for the children and this cause just tops it off. So I'm honoured. I hope that somehow I can continue to confound the oncologist. I can continue to make my family proud of my achievements, and hopefully along the way maybe even show people hope that you can actually overcome the worst and you can actually follow your dreams and make them happen.
Well said. Don't quite know how you follow that.